We're live.
Can anyone hear us? If you can, go into the comments. Oh,
Yay!
We're live. Yay! Awesome. Okay. Bear with us. This is our first time ever doing this.
Yes.
So it's definitely a learning process. But everyone can tell us where you're at. We're going to give it a few minutes before we get kicked off, and let anyone else join who might be a few minutes late. But where are you guys from?
We're in freezing cold Dallas. I think it's like 25 degrees here right now. It's the sweater wear today.
Yeah. We're used to it being, super hot. So this is pretty miserable for us.
Sweet. Well, I think we're going to keep letting people sort of join in and, yay, Lubbock, Texas.
Nice.
With front desk. We love front desk. I have my front desk t-shirt right now in the office.
Yeah, I've been to Lubbock 2 or 3 times. Pretty fun.
Cool. Well, I think people are joining. We're super excited to share some of the things that we've done at NoiseAware. Oh, yay, daughter in Dallas. That's awesome. We'll kind of give a little bit of background on who we are when we got started here. And yeah, building the brand at NoiseAware. I think the biggest thing is if we can share something that's helpful to somebody, then today's live has gone well then.
Yeah, and if we're talking about anything, if you have anything to share as well, let us know. Definitely want to be collaborative here. How far are we in? 2 minutes? Like another 30 seconds?
Yeah. That works. Also kind of loving the brand of these new Starbucks cups.
Yeah, while we're on brand.
Yeah. They're really kind of matching our red. I guess this is the new holiday version. I like them.
All right. We ready to get kicked off here?
Let's do it.
All right. So who are you?
So I'm Christine. Previously Saba, now Meyer. I just got recently married. And I am the head of growth at NoiseAware. And I started out sort of building what NoiseAware is today when it was just an idea. And Andrew and Dave, the two co-founders, had sort of started the company and the concept. And I built the first website, and then sort of it's gone from there. And then now here we are today and have over 20 people working here. And then Madison came on board and took all of my crazy marketing ideas. And
yeah, I came on board about 2.5 years ago, and it was right after we really started selling the product. So it's been fun to take what Christine had created and then, iterate on that and continue to improve it to be the brand, everyone sees and loves today.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that it's not like the two of us had a lot of experience prior to this. So a lot of what we do and how we've built the brand has been completely learning what's happening in today's world and looking at what other companies are doing. We didn't necessarily have 10 years of experience maybe combined in the work world, but not specifically in the world of short-term rentals and branding and marketing. So
yeah. So, kind of to get it started off, the first thing that we kind of look for when, building our brand, and then what we always turn back to is our target audience. So kind of how we do that is, by building up personas. Mm-hmm. So I know Christine, myself, we've led several persona exercises here. We kind of reevaluate it on an annual basis, keeping it fresh, keeping it up to date.
Yeah, I would say that in the beginning, it was one of the first things that we did with our head of product was we came in and it's fun to do the sticky notes. It's fun to get everybody's perspective, who talks to the customers, and then those who don't even get to really talk to the customers that often. And basically, there's different ways you can run a persona exercise. We can always share with you how we ran ours, but it's always awesome to then go into any conversation talking about the actual personas and giving them fun names, building kind of a fun collaborative culture inside your company. But the target audience, I mean, like everybody talks about it, but if you give real pictures and real stories to the people that you're actually marketing to and building the product for, it can make your team be more aligned on everything that they do, because you go back to talking about the customer and not, necessarily like what Madison wants or what Christine wants in content. It's like what's going to be valuable for this customer. So I think one of our customer personas before was like vacation rental Val. And so, what does vacation rental Val care about, while she's doing her job every day? And so building out those personas is really easy. And then that gives you your target audience, and you kind of align everything to that person and what they care about.
Yeah, and I think it's important to include everyone at the company, because what Christine and I might see is very different, for example, than what our product team might see, or, customer success, sales, that sort of thing. So I think getting everyone's perspective is the most important part of it. And then everyone's aware kind of, who our personas are, who we're going after, and why marketing is doing what they're doing. Then on, kind of what comes next for us is like finding our why. So, looking at the company and determining, why exactly do you exist? For a lot of you guys, it's to probably provide a, some sort of experience for your guests while they're staying there. We've gone through and found our why, like I said, with our target audience on an annual basis. So we always revisit that and come back to it.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting technique. I think we've seen it from the book, Simon, and really like a lot of employees nowadays and team members want to feel like they're behind some sort of mission. And so it sort of becomes your internal brand to figure out like, why are we all here? Why do we get up in the morning? Why do we come to work? Why do we love what we do? And then you make sure that like every employee understands that, but it's really marketing's job to then get that why super clear to our customers. Because then when they interact with someone on our team, that team member is going to have that same perspective of, why NoiseAware exists. And I think that, people get more aligned and more behind your company when they feel like everyone kind of truly believes that, rather than sort of the boring old sales pitch. And our goal is always to like help people. And so I think that when we started sort of focusing around our why, we actually started out with telling a lot of customer stories. We actually did a company retreat and did it then because it involved everybody, and people heard things that, they hadn't heard before about rescue stories that we've had. And then just earlier this week, like I sent out an email to our entire company telling them about a party that we saved a host from, which I think we'll actually, Madison was sharing on social media. And like, there were some things that could have been disastrous at this party. And I reminded everybody that like, if our sensors wouldn't have been there, we don't know what would happen like to the person's property or what would happen to the guests that were there. People can sometimes get irresponsible when alcohol is involved. And it was just, something to make everybody remind themselves of like, why do we show up every day to build the product that we do and the company that we do? And yeah, so sharing those things internally can really help too.
Right. From there, we go into the research phase. So this is kind of where we started to really be able to find out what our brand was. Looking at it at both, we're a smart home tech piece. And then from a niche point of view, we monitor noise. So we looked at, all of the smart home tech pieces, saw kind of what their branding and their marketing was like, and then decided how we wanted to pivot and looking back at that target audience always. So the brand that, that's super loud and fun, this is kind of where this was developed at this stage. A lot of the smart home tech brands were staying, with a very clean, just precise brand, which is something we still like to stick with, but we wanted to add some color to it and some fun, and the juxtaposition behind, crashing parties and then being loud with our, colors, our outfits, all of that. This is kind of the phase that we started to really explore that and introduce it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that like we always, there's other companies out there that are spending a lot of money on marketing and creative and brand. And there's no reason that if you're a smaller company or a mid-sized level company, or if you're a customer of ours that's is in the short-term rental space, like there's no reason that you can't look to what others are doing and figure out, how you can sort of borrow some of their best creative ideas. We basically meshed together like Chubby's brand, which are the loud shirts that our team wears. And we were really following along with their emails and the way that they were sort of marketing their company. We're like, this is, so different. They're being so funny. They understand their target audience. And we don't talk to our customers like they're, somebody with a suit and tie on. Like, we have our customers as our friends. And so we thought about like, how can we be more, I don't know what the word is, like relatable, like how can we be funny, how can we be different, and how can somebody like look at it and laugh, and if they don't, then that's okay, maybe the loud shirts aren't for them. But we haven't really ever seen anybody say any different. I think people love it. And then we sort of aligned that with like, okay, but then also what makes our product seem really secure, really safe, and how can we showcase to people that were similar to, a Google Home device or some of the other products that are out there on the market with these kind of like more slick looking websites. And we sort of tried to like mesh the two because we didn't want to be too unapproachable and seem like we wouldn't pick up the phone or talk to anybody or be open to a conversation or do what we're doing right now. Right. And then on the other side of it, it was like, but let's also be the fun group that we are. And I think that we mirror our internal brand is our external brand, and we're a fun group of people. We have a lot to offer and a lot to help people with. And we like to be relatable, open, transparent. And I think that, we just kind of thought about ways that we can get that externally too.
Well, and I think since we're a new industry too, we wanted to take a new twist on it.
Yeah.
So it really is the time where we all can build our own brand and go with it. So the people we have working here very much live and breathe the brand in their personal life as well. So it's pretty cool to be able to, have that new industry feel while still iterating upon it.
Yeah, I think in research, like, look at what others are doing. It is so helpful to look outside of your business. And then we always look at, can we do it better? And can we do it to be us? It has to be authentic to like who we are and what we like as a company. And then at the end of the day, like it circles back to like, are our customers also going to like this, or are our potential customers going to like this?
Right. So. And, kind of building upon that is one of our favorite things here. I always try and say this to our team, is being different and standing out. So for example, there's a lot of, articles out there that say it's best to send an email Tuesday at 4:00 or whatever it is. It changes every week. But a simple way, try to be different, do things that others aren't. That goes back to our Chubby shirts at the conferences. If you see us there, we stick out like a sore thumb in the best way possible. And, like at the party this year, we have Kim Bone. That is a crazy idea that we made possible. And it definitely makes us stand out.
Yeah, I think that, we go into any sort of marketing idea or marketing campaign or something that we're going to do. And before we do it, we usually think about like, what are other people going to do that we could be different? So a good example would be like, if we're going to a conference, most people are going to send you the email that's like, hey, if you could spare a few times, like come by our booth, or, let's have a meeting. And like, I know when I go to conferences, I feel like I have no idea what the schedule is going to be. I intend to go to all these different sessions. You're networking like crazy, but like your main goal when you go is to network or meet somebody new. Unfortunately, some people aren't going to think about meeting with us if they haven't had the exact problem, or they may be trying to go and learn about something different. But everybody in most cases is totally open to like getting a free drink. And so we sent out emails saying, hey, take the time, meet us at the bar, let's have a casual fun drink, and let's just chat. And I think that that's, it's, you know, it was casual, it was different. We got a huge response rate. And, you know, if they want to do coffee instead, like that's another option, but I'm sure nobody had approached them with that. And like, I'm always going to be open to coffee or a free drink. I'm sure many of the other people that go to these conferences that were in our target audience, we believed would do the same thing. But it also sort of breaks down the barrier of like, we don't need to have a meeting. I just want to meet you. You know, I just want to get to know you. I want to get to know your business. And so that was doing something different.
I think another example is the business cards we use at conferences.
Yeah.
So we knew that everyone was going to be handing out, you know, your generic business cards that have, you know, the company logo or branded that way. But last year we went ahead and tried poker chips as business cards, and it has, you know, our reps information on it, but it was a huge hit. It was in Vegas, so it kind of played along that, but people were loving it. And we still have them floating around the office. This year we decided to do playing cards instead. It's just an easy way to, you know, be different and stand out from everyone else in a simple yet effective way.
Yeah, I think our main goal is like, how can somebody walk away and maybe share with somebody else something that they just experienced? So whether it's like, oh man, I love the shirts that the people at NoiseAware wear, or, you know, they throw great parties, and it's funny because we monitor parties, but how else can we test our sensors? And then, you know, we also always both hated like getting really crappy t-shirts. So like spend the extra $3 to get the t-shirt that's extremely soft, and like just send it to, you know, anyone and sort of share it around. Like, don't buy the cheap ones because no one wears them. And I can't tell you how many selfies we still get and post in our Slack channels of people that are wearing our t-shirts. So we probably gave them like 2 years ago. That, you know, that money will continue to kind of multiply as people, you know, wear your brand and your t-shirts around. So spend the extra like $3 per shirt to get the soft ones. They're well worth it. And they also can make great Christmas gifts for your family.
Well, I think it was our head of product that told me a few months ago that his biggest takeaway was to invest in nice t-shirts. And it's true. I mean, any t-shirt that you get at an event, I usually end up throwing away because it's not comfortable. So I think that's definitely worth the extra $3, as you said.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, and we're probably rambling so much, and we can also like look at comments and see if people have like things to pitch in. We're just telling you what's worked for us, and you can, you know, take it for how it ends up sort of being relatable to what you guys are doing. But I think the other thing too is that we're always surrounded by ads and content out there, and so a lot of times, like, I would say in a week, Madison and I are probably sending each other like 2 to 3 things. And our head of product does this too, like of, hey, this is really cool. Like, look how this email was with this company. And then it sort of sparks an idea and a conversation. I think a really great example is if anyone's sort of been on our newsletter for a long time, I think it was 2 years ago, we did a campaign and we called it The Troublesome Traveler. And we will probably like resurrect them from time to time. But the idea sparked from the Mayhem guy who's in all the commercials, the Allstate commercials. And he's like, you know, prevent mayhem from happening like me. And usually he's pretending to be some mayhem person. And it's really interesting. And basically we're kind of like, this so resonates with like everyone drives a car, and the Mayhem guy is kind of showing all the damage that can happen to a car. So we took the idea of Mayhem being a guest that you don't think is going to be who they turn out to be. So we had the golf dads, which it's like you think they're going to be these 50-year-old guys and they're going to book your place, and they're just going to be golfing all day and going to sleep at 9 p.m. But in reality, they love drinking scotch. They have arguments about politics on your back porch, and they're smoking cigars, and they're out there till 2 a.m. and your neighbors are pissed. And, you know, that's kind of your troublesome traveler you didn't see coming. And we sort of took the Mayhem guy and made it our own. And I think, you know, there's plenty of ideas out there, but it has to be collaborative too. Like, I always usually start with some idea over here, and then Madison sort of like brings it over here.
Yeah, I'll never forget this summer, Christine walking up to me and saying, we're going to launch a sweepstakes next week. Make it happen.
Yeah, that's the other lesson. Go fast.
Yeah,
like,
move fast.
Just do anything. You'll get your brand out there more if you do it quickly. And I'm sure we have plenty of mistakes we've made, you know, grammatical errors or or things that, like, you know, flopped to some degree. I think our biggest flop was we did a really big spring break campaign before spring break and realized, like, no one cared before spring break, and they all cared after spring break. So, you're going to do things like that. You can't learn if you try to make it perfect before you put it out and see if the idea works or doesn't work.
Yeah, we always say test everything.
Yeah.
Test it. If it's an idea, no matter how good or bad you think it is, test it. Definitely rambled there, but this one I think Christine was kind of, the leader of, even before I got here, creating the logo and tagline. I don't know if you have any, specific tips on how.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, like, to me, I think that I'm a super visual person, and I think that the logo sort of kicks off like what your brand is going to look like to the world. And so, the circle logo, I mean, it's been a part of us since the beginning. And, it's similar to, like, there's the Starbucks logo, and, there's just things like, I don't think a lot of people pay attention to the logo per se, but you definitely want to, like, that is a really good first step if you're starting a company, is like just doing that to feel like it's real and feel like you can, have something. And then it'll grow from there with your brand and your design. But early on at NoiseAware, I invested in partnering with and contracting to a designer, and she's still on our team today. And she's probably like the first person that I would say hired at NoiseAware. I just thought that was something that was so needed, and I wasn't going to be able to do it or come up with something. And I think that, like, that's a great thing. And then coming up with a tagline too can always be really, really helpful, and getting the team aligned behind, like, making sure that things always look the way that they should look, so your brand continues to kind of be out there. And we've even gone as far as, like, paint the walls in our office red, like just simple things like that. That's kind of a.
Yeah, we actually, like I said earlier, testing everything. We tested our tagline this year and actually made a change a little bit from, the privacy safe to the smart noise monitoring solution. So even when it comes to those sorts of things, testing, but I think the logo is the one thing that, people recognize, and keeping that consistent is pretty important. And so I think shout out to Zoe, our graphic designer, for helping with that, because, we've been able to keep it constant throughout.
It's almost like the face of your company, and then your personality is like your brand and how you make people feel and what they think about when they see you. So you got to have a face. Yeah.
Next is the brand voice, which personally is my favorite. I love working on the brand voice. Like we mentioned earlier, we like to look at our customers as friends. And so that's how we speak to them. When I sought out to kind of, reevaluate the brand voice, was it last year?
Yeah,
a year or two ago. Like we said earlier, Chubby's was one we looked to, and then the Skim was probably my main source of inspiration. If you're not subscribed, you should be. But they have a very witty, sarcastic, voice throughout, and it makes you want to read. So that's something that, I kind of took from, made sure it, related back to our target audience, and then was able to turn it into something of our own. But I think always researching other brands that you look towards, and then finding a way to make that fit to what you're doing.
Yeah, I think in, like, today's day and age, like, you can, gifts work. Like, people love that. Like being funny helps, because especially with what we're doing, there can be a lot of serious talk, but at the end of the day, like, we're all working hard. We all have personal lives, and we all know how to have fun. Like, every person knows how to have fun. So I think we've always tried to make it more casual, and sort of, I think that also breaks down the barrier of us sort of being the company, and us sort of being their partner. Like, that's what we really wanted. And I think we also credit it to a lot of our customers. Like, if you involve yourself in a lot of customer conversations and see how sort of casual they are with you and how casual you can be with them, like, it can help you then develop a brand voice that's a little bit better. But I would think too, in the vacation rental industry, like, talking to people who are about to go on an awesome experience, they're about to have a vacation, like, imagine how casual they're feeling. So just, being in that sort of finding how people are in those moments, and then just thinking about it on a personal level too, like, what would you want?
Yeah, definitely. When we're sending emails out, I make sure it's something that I would want to read. And I think that's, one of the most helpful things that we've been working on is just making sure that the brand voice is there and it's something engaging.
And I think validation and feedback helps, like listen
Yes.
to what people
Yes.
say. Like we do get a lot of responses to our emails and then we're like, yes, we're doing it right. So,
Yeah.
If you're not getting it, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It's just, try to evoke the feedback, try to pull it out of people a little bit more, and even if you just have to get them to casually interact with you, or if you have to call 10 people that are your current customers and find out like, how do they see the way that your company is? We get told all the time that people see our brand as fun, easygoing. We're straight shooters, that we're easy to talk to. We're supportive. We're helpful. Like all of those things really help us be like, all right, cool. Let's keep being that way in the way that we talk outside of our company.
Yeah. Well, I think that, that's having the brand voice we do is work to our benefit because people are more willing to give us feedback.
Yep.
And so it allows us to, continue to improve. But couldn't agree more that, continually asking people for feedback is very important. One of the things we do is towards the end of someone's, the funnel, we reach out and ask, if they haven't become a NoiseAware customer, how we can help, learn a little bit why, not a sales pitch at all, just genuinely curious and want to get to know more about them.
Yeah, the email content actually, I think, says, the subject line is quick question. A lot of people open it. And the question inside is, hey, we saw that you never ended up becoming a customer of ours. And we were just curious if you'd be willing to tell us like why you haven't moved forward. And people are willing to respond. And then that helps us understand. Sometimes at one point we got answers that were basically people were very confused about a specific thing. I think it was like the subscription or something very specific on our website. And we realized like maybe if we just changed that we could intersect other people who probably had the same thing and fell off the journey of moving to be a customer. And the awesome part was like then we also got the chance to explain something to them that they hadn't been educated on and they would have maybe never reached out. So because I think there's like 5% of people are really, really going to raise their hand. And then like the other 95% may never say anything, but then felt the same way that 95% felt. It's probably statistics that are not accurate anywhere on the web, but I'm just rolling with the punches right now.
You got the message across. Yeah. Then next up is brand messaging. Kind of feel like we've been hitting on this throughout.
Yeah.
But just continuing that brand voice and always looking back to that target audience. But yeah, I feel like we've been hitting on that.
Yeah, I think the only thing that we recently instituted that might be helpful is doing a brand audit. Yes. Some people go rogue and like you'd be surprised, like people, just today, I think Rob, our director of customer experience, who I dressed up for his Halloween, was using our logo with like these lines drawn all over it that are from the brand book. And a brand book is a good idea too, to create a brand book at your company so people can always revert back to it. Yes. And that's your core. But yeah, you realize that people will just make their own presentations and use a alarm red rather than like our regular red. And I think Madison and I get on top of people pretty quickly, and it's funny because it becomes a joke internally. Like Madison's going to be pissed at you because you didn't use the brand colors and the brand this, but I can bet that if you're going to go, if you're going to get a presentation from somebody or somebody's going to put something out in the world from like Airbnb or Coca-Cola or Starbucks, like they're going to be required to,
Right.
use those colors. So train people early on to sort of do that because it's so important. And you just don't want things to look like messy. And so we do brand audits and we have the sales team send us all their presentations and even all the way up to executive team. Like we even try to do our presentations internally in all of the same colors. And then just anything else, like if people are off brand on chat, message, anything, support, phone calls, like we audit it all. And we find where people are maybe, it could be as simple as someone saying device instead of sensor. Like that's not something that we want.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you how many times a day, a week that I get asked, can you send me the logo? What's our brand color? And the other day, Patrick, who some of you may know, sent me a presentation he made, and I was thoroughly impressed. And it was because he read the brand book.
Yes.
Only took him about 2.5 years, but so having a brand book that everyone can refer to saves not only the marketing team time, then it also is that extra layer of protection against something going out to the public that isn't necessarily on brand.
Yeah, and the brand book, I mean, we would be happy to share with people like certain screenshots from it. We sort of got the idea from SurveyMonkey. We got to see something that they had internally, and it sort of sparked what we started. It's almost like brand guidelines, but it's a full book. And then it also has started to become our employee onboarding to teach people like who we are, and what we do. And I think that's it really helps give autonomy to employees internally to then be able to create whatever they want. Like if they want to go create a presentation tomorrow for somebody externally or internally, like they have the ability to use all the graphics, all the colors, everything. And it just creates alignment. And well,
I think it allows people to move faster. We're still
they don't have to wait on Madison to try to make them a presentation.
We're still a growing team, and to be able to crank out presentations, demos, whatever. Letting these people have the resources at their fingertips speeds things along much quicker.
Yeah.
Then, on top of that is just making sure you implement and integrate everywhere. Consistency is key. So like, for example, that brand book, that's, the best step to make sure it's implemented and integrated everywhere. But something that I recently, like we said, are doing audits. I'm also auditing my own work. So like the website, making sure that like it's consistent across the board.
Yeah.
And I think here you can never be too detailed. So in these brand books, we're, doing a list of terminology we use here, going down to the nitty gritty and then making sure across all channels it's consistent.
Yeah, definitely. I think that auditing is super helpful. And then I think too, just being quick with being in as many places as you can. I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that I think building the brand is a whole company effort, but the marketing and the execution of the brand has really been the two of us for the last 2 years, and it does take a lot of work. But I think if that's something that we feel like we can do, then I'm sure if you're on a small team, you can do the same thing. So.
Yeah, I'll never forget when we pitched the Chubbies idea and we did a company photo shoot and people thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
But it's, we had a dog dress up as a NoiseAware employee for Halloween.
Yeah, Host Financial, right?
Yeah, Daniel. So,
our goal is to stand out. That's a big thing. Like let's stand out. Everyone sees content and ads every day, and we're building something that wasn't done before in terms of our company, like NoiseAware and noise monitoring. And so I think that we're trying to stand out as much as possible because we can't spend the type of money that other companies can spend, but we can be scrappy, we can be creative, and yeah, that's sort of how we.
Yeah, I think it's if it makes it more fun too. If it's a brand that you really enjoy representing. Yeah. So like I have so much fun getting to do our stuff because it's fun, it's loud, it's trying new things every day. So I think making it part of who you are as well.
Yeah. And we have one more person on our marketing team now, and she pitched us on some campaign ideas that we're going to do for December.
Get ready.
And get ready, because I think they're going to look really cool.
Yep.
But also we try to tailor a campaign with some like ideas of things that we could get customers to sort of like engage in, so that we can kind of have fun with people. And and then I think the last thing too is with sort of going back to like standing out, like do something that people will then tell somebody else about your company. And I think that's a big thing. Like we've spread by word of mouth, and that is more on the support side, but it includes marketing. So we try to send people a random gift from time to time, especially if somebody has a party, even if they prevented it with NoiseAware, like that's still a stressful experience. And so being able to send them a gift and be like, hey, you're you're doing the right thing, and we're happy we were there to help. And here's some cupcakes or cookies for your office, or here's a T-shirt or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's doing things that don't, scale.
Yeah. That's a DG comment, right? From Drift.
Yeah. So, buying water bottles for our customers, or, doing these little things that won't necessarily scale, but, build a huge network of customers, leads, everyone in general, just the community. That goes back to the T-shirts, all of these sorts of things that I know if I were a customer of another company, then I would appreciate it and enjoy it. So yeah, I think doing things that don't scale.
Yeah. Are there any other comments or things that people share?
Let us hear it.
Where do we see that? We're still learning all of this.
Yeah, this is our first time using this platform.
This is another thing that we did that's essentially something we've never done before, and we'll see.
Yeah, it's a test.
Testing.
It's a test.
I've had a lot of people reach out to me because of it, so that's always helpful.
I know.
Yeah. Thanks, Angelina, for jumping on. We do need to visit your daughter.
Yeah.
So,
have you ever been to Chamberlain's?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
We'll
have to add that. Yeah. All right. Well, if that's it, we did want to offer, if you want to have a conversation with us, talk about, how we could partner together, or, some best practices around branding, email me. It's madison@noiseaware.io. I'll be sending that out to everyone. But we'd love to, hop on a call and continue this conversation. It's something that we're both really passionate about and enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So we want to, bounce ideas off of one another and just, keep the conversation flowing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, have a great day.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.